is this?
Oh my god, ew!
Really? This is awful.
Is this like spam?
He's cruising.
Look for the bar.
There's something wrong.
You need these points, man.
It's crunchy. I can't just swallow it.
You're not looking too good.
Get out of my face, Owen. Get out of my face.
Who painted the Sistine Chapel?
I raised my hand.
Just eat the
What? Tap.
Let's talk about your anger problems.
I don't have an anger problem.
You don't. The footage I have, it says differently.
I don't have one. I mean, okay, I get into the competition and I want to win and I'm a competitive person. Especially on the second day, I was pretty tired. And I was kind of thinking, maybe I don't want to sleep here for 5 days. Because I'm really sore for sleeping on the floor. So I was like kind of grasping with the reality of what I was actually doing. And that can sometimes be hard and it kind of made me grumpy. Main thing about the second day was the challenges were more difficult and a little bit more, physical in nature in many ways. The food challenge comes to mind as being hard for obvious reasons.
What was the grossest food?
I don't think this was the grossest food, but it's the one that made me gag the most was the cold Spam. That was awful. I'm never eating Spam again, and I feel bad for anyone who actually has to eat Spam as like a real source of protein. Anyway, what was the grossest food was they had green baby foods. It was probably like peas, and then they had like wasabi peas inside. And
so it was like wasabi peas and baby food blended together.
No, because the peas were hard. So you had that weird, mushy, disgusting texture of the baby food, and then you had this crunchy, spicy bean in it. It was honestly revolting. Every time I'm thinking about it now, it's so gross. It's still in me. Never leaves my heart.
It's still in me.
It burned a hole in my soul. The trivia kind of triggered me. Because usually I'm pretty good at trivia, but we had to raise our hand, and that's a very inaccurate way of telling who answered first.
Right.
And there was a instance where it was who was the second president of the United States, and I clearly raised my hand first, and the student council picked Caden.
You were pretty angry during the trivia. There were several allegations of favoritism.
Okay, it wasn't actually favoritism.
It's rigged.
It's rigged?
It wasn't even done yet. This much left. Yeah. We got third because Chris finished.
It wasn't. It was a mistake. I mean, honestly, part of the thing was I was towards the back of the row, so if you see my hand go up, it's farther away and it catches your attention less than the people sitting in the front. So the people sitting in the front actually had a distinct advantage. So I guess if I could do it again, I would sit closer.
I think filming this put pressure on you.
Filming this?
Yeah, or just filming that whole thing in general.
A little bit, because I was conscious what I was doing was gonna be shared forever. It probably made it a little bit more stressful because I knew these challenges, it's like a one-time thing. You just have to laugh at yourself, except this one-time thing is recorded, and then 10 years later, they're like, oh, let's look at the 2017 Senior Survivors. Wow, Purple Team really sucked the big one. But the experience was an interesting one. I got to make some new friends, I think. So it was cool, and in the end, it doesn't really matter how salty I am or, the bad experiences I had eating Spam. That's not the important part. The important part is I was able to raise almost $600 for charity just by myself, and I was the lowest team. So other teams probably are raising in the thousands for charity, and that's what matters. So I have that positive thing to hold with me. No matter how salty I get, I can just remember $600 of charity.